are there exercises that specifically address pitch in the lower range? Songs like Reckless Love and Who You Say I Am are what get me. I feel like they should be easy, but they can be difficult, not because of the range, but because I'm off pitch in the verses. What do you recommend to help stay on pitch and not go flat or sharp in certain parts of your range? Okay, great question. Okay, so first of all, so everyone understands, we're on the same page about what it means to be flat or sharp. Okay, so if this is our melody note, okay, we're aiming for the center of the pitch on every melody note that we sing, okay? Now, sometimes people are just singing a completely wrong note, okay? That's just off pitch, okay? When we're just singing a completely wrong note, okay? We haven't hit the target at all. But a lot of people are in the target range, they're hitting the note, but it's above or below the center of the pitch. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that, okay? That's what we refer to as being pitchy, okay? So slightly above is gonna be sharp, slightly below is gonna be flat, okay? And one pitchy note here and there isn't usually a huge deal, but a lot of singers are pitchy in a whole section of a song. Sometimes it's the high note, the high part of the song, sometimes it's the low part of the song. And it's very irritating to the listener's ear because the frequencies, the vibrations of the notes don't line up. The instruments and possibly other singers on your team are playing and singing a note, this note, and you're just slightly off. Right? It's almost worse than a completely different note sometimes. And a lot of singers think that there is an issue with their ear not being able to hear the right pitches accurately, but honestly, that's almost never the case. The issue almost always has to do with resonance. If you're off pitch, it's usually because you're not using an efficient resonator or blend of resonance. It also could be that your voice is just super tired. That's for a lot of us sometimes on Sunday mornings. But again, that leads back to resonance. If your voice is tired, it's not going to make the best decisions about what resonator to use, just like many of us don't make awesome decisions when we're tired. And so I talk a lot about in my lesson videos about singing pitchy in the higher range, because a lot of singers have a habit of pushing their chest voice up too high, right? Oh, the overwhelming love. Hey, Chesney, I'm answering some of your questions. You'll have to go back and watch from the beginning. Okay, so a lot of singers have a habit of pushing their chest voice up. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases, right? Pushing up their chest voice, or the sun sets free, oh, it's free indeed, I'm the child, right? Feels terrible, sounds terrible. What we need up there is a mix of chest voice, yeah, 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 head voice, woo, 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 and pharyngeal, wah, nay, nay, nay. We need a blend of all those resonators, so that it's not the sun sets free, it's free indeed. Oh, the sun sets free, oh, it's free indeed. I'm the child of God, yes I am. Right? We've got a blend of all the resonators. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down. Right? So I'm not going to go into more of that here because so many of my videos cover that. You just need to work your way through my courses. But back to the original question, is asking about pitch in the lower range in the verses of songs. People typically fall in one of two categories in verses, I find, so you can try to figure out which one is you, either singing too sharp or too flat. Okay, and again, it's usually a case of inefficient use of resonance in both of those cases. If you tend to be sharp, you're probably pulling too much head voice down into those lower notes, okay? So verse of Who You Say I Am goes pretty low. Who am I that, if I'm all in head voice, who am I that the highest king would welcome me? I was lost, but he brought me in. Oh, his love for me, right? Head voice gets weak and inefficient because there's not, you can hear how it's like there's nothing to it. There's not enough grounding in the chest voice. So what we need is ba 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 mama 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 mama. Who am I that the highest king would welcome me? I was lost, but he brought me in, right? I need to bring more of that chest voice fullness, ground it in the depth of chest voice resonance. And I find often when singers do that, especially I do this a lot with singers, is just, and you see this in my videos, putting in an exercise and going into the lyrics like I just did. Often when singers do that and find their chest voice in these lower notes of a song and then put the lyrics back in, their pitch improves so much right away. Okay, so that's what you should do if you tend to be sharp on the notes. If you're flat, it's similar to when you're singing up in the high range. If you're flat, you're probably singing with too much chest voice in the mix. It's almost definitely the case if the verse sits kind of more up in that middle range. So before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. If I'm singing with too much chest voice, before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You've been so good to me. But even if it sits lower than that and goes into kind of your super low range like that, Who You Say I Am verse, who am I that the highest king? I find this is an issue for, I'll come back to that. I found this is an issue for a lot of singers, is that we have this idea for our range that we're supposed to sing in chest voice on the bottom, head voice on top, pharyngeal in the middle. And it's a helpful visualization to a certain extent to kind of put it in 3 categories like that. But actually, more so what we need is, wait for it, chest, head, pharyngeal, okay? And we want to be in this middle spot, okay? We want to aim for that mix, that blend of all 3 resonators all throughout your range, okay? And in the higher notes in our range, it's going to be a bit more head voice dominant. In the lower parts of our range, it's going to be a bit more chest voice dominant, and pretty much always engaging pharyngeal in the low and the high mix of all 3, okay? Not just 3 categories, okay? The problem is if you think of, and hopefully this answers your question, if you think of your low notes as only being in chest voice, you're probably going to end up singing, who am I that the highest king would welcome me? I was lost, but he brought me in. His love for me, right? Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You've been so good to me, okay? The sound is dull. There's too much weight on my chest voice, and a lot of singers end up being pitchy. The voice goes flat, even though it's nowhere near your vocal bridge, okay? My vocal bridge is notes away from that, but the sound can still go flat really easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to intentionally engage resonance that's higher up in my face to lift it out of so much chest dominance. Okay, so who am I that the highest king would welcome me? I was lost, but he brought me in. Oh, his love for me. Right? Very different sound than who am I that the goes from dull to bright. Instead of before I spoke a word, before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathe your life in me. There's actually, again, like I was doing earlier, if I come out of singing like that and just speak out of it, before I took a breath, and I just kind of speak out of that, you hear how there's actually a lot of pharyngeal. There's a lot of that nasality in my tone, but it works so well in the singing voice because it takes it out of that dull place. It brightens it up. It lifts the resonance out of that dull weight of chest voice. And the voice is a lot freer and the pitch improves so much right away for so many people doing exercises like that, okay? So in terms of exercises for the low range that you can apply to a song, it really depends on whether you tend to go flat or sharp, okay? It's important to know that. And if you don't know, ask someone who does know for their honest feedback, okay? Because you're gonna want to do different exercises in those cases. If you're sharp, we're looking to find lower resonance in your face. Take some of that mix out of head voice. And if you're flat, we're looking to find higher resonance in your face. Okay, more of that higher resonance in the mix, so that in both cases we're actually bringing the voice to that middle ground, that really efficient mixed voice where the pitch locks into place a lot more easily and instinctively.